China rising. Are you wondering if China has already become the world's #1 economic superpower and how its current economic struggles affect this position? Will China replace the USA as the world's #1 military superpower, and should you be concerned about their contribution to global pollution? Well, some people think that the USA is the one, only, and forever true global superpower. In reality, history tells us something very different. In fact, a good chunk of the world's history is about the rise, decline, and fall of empires and superpowers. Welcome to the World Econ News, your daily dose of economics and finance. If you're interested in topics influencing the world's economies and global financial flows, this is the place for you. Watch till the end if you want to get the latest on everything. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the notification button to get the latest updates. Let's go. Massive changes in the global economic and financial systems and structure will affect you in more ways than you can imagine. There is no doubt that China is a fast-growing global economical, political, and military force. I mean, half the talk these days by Wall Street, the US military, and political leaders and corporate CEOs is all about China. Indeed, China is already on its path to replace the USA as a global leader and superpower. However, that's easier said than done. So without further ado, let's answer the first question and see what the recent economic and financial achievements are that led China to become a true economic superpower that no nation, including the USA, can keep up with. Number 1. In the past 10 years, China has become the biggest engine in driving global economic growth. In 2017, China's trade volume jumped to the first spot on the global scale. Currently, China is the world's largest exporter and second largest importer. Number 2. In 2020, China contributed 14% to the world's import and export trade volume. Now, China exports are shifting from low-end to high-end in the value chain. Number 3. The median salary is around $4,500 per month. That means half of the population draws an average income less than the median salary. In contrast, the other half earns more than the median salary. Meanwhile, the cost of living in China is quite low. According to analysts, a single person can lead a very stylish life with as little as $1,000 a month. Number 4. China has a complete advanced academic system. The Chinese culture truly values high-quality education. Number 5. The number of scientific and technical personnel in China reached over 5.5 million in 2021. That's the most in the world. Number 6. China has already surpassed the United States as the top source of international patent applications filed with the World Intellectual Property Organization. As of 2020, it's ahead with 70,000 applications. Number 7. China has been the world's largest exporter of high technology since 2005. The value of Chinese high-tech exports in 2022 is projected to surpass $1 trillion. Number 8. China is no longer a nation of 1.5 billion people. It's officially the nation of 1.5 skilled workers, experts in all fields, engineers, researchers, scholars, inventors, and innovators. China has transformed from a country of population to a country of human resources. Number 9. China is the world's second largest stock market by market capitalization. It's also Asia's biggest stock exchange. Number 10. In 2021, China had more Fortune Global 500 companies than the United States. Number 11. Chinese businesses filed 473 of the 608 artificial intelligence patents lodged to the World Intellectual Property Organization in 2020, and a third of all blockchain patents. Number 12. Chinese tourists are driving the growth of global tourism. Since China opened to the world, its citizens have become notorious travelers. In 2019, Chinese tourists spent more than $270 billion abroad. Number 13. Despite the COVID-19 pandemic sweeping the world since 2020, China's GDP reached nearly $16 trillion in 2021, making China the only major economy in the world with positive growth. Number 14. China has the most billionaires in the world. According to the Hurun Global Rich List, there are 1,058 billionaires in China. This long list is just the tip of the iceberg. According to many experts, China has surpassed the USA as the #1 economic global superpower in 2019. However, there are other experts who heavily rely on using the GDP as the main factor for measurement. They disagree and insist that the US is still the world's #1 economic superpower. Nevertheless, according to a report by the management consultancy firm McKinsey & Company, China's wealth rose from $7 trillion in 2000 to $120 trillion in 2020. The US, on the other hand, saw its wealth more than double to $90 trillion in the same period. All right, let's move on to the second question. Will China replace the USA as the world's #1 military superpower? As of this moment, the answer is no. According to experts, China is unlikely to become the world's #1 military superpower in the next 50 years due to various factors such as: Number 1. A lack of democracy. China is a one-party state. It has been run by the same party since 1949. Meanwhile, the USA is a democracy which gives it a political, cultural, and ideological edge. Number 2. China's politics is potentially very fragile. Under a closed system, it's almost impossible to predict when that spark will arrive to ignite a political upheaval. Number 3. Geopolitics is an important factor because China has many neighbors, including Russia and India, and they too are aiming for the #1 spot. Number 4. Military spending. The US annual military budget is around $700 billion, while China's budget is about $200 billion. Number 5. The US is keen and determined to continue playing the role of the global cop. It also has many strong allies who are willing to militarily aid it during war. Meanwhile, China does not enjoy that privilege. Now to the last question. Should you be concerned about China's contribution to pollution and climate change? The answer is absolutely yes, and here is why. Number 1. China's carbon emissions are indescribably vast and growing, dwarfing those of other countries. Number 2. Experts agree that without big reductions in China's emissions, the world cannot win the fight against climate change. Number 3. In 2020, China's President Xi Jinping said the country would aim for its emissions to reach their highest point before 2030 and for carbon neutrality before 2060. However, he didn't elaborate how, which is very worrying. Number 4. Per person, China's emissions are about half those of the second biggest polluter, the US, but its huge 1.4 billion population and explosive economic growth have pushed it way ahead of any other country in its overall emissions. Sounds scary, right? China is a paradox when it comes to pollution and climate change. Here is why. China's working on capping its CO2 and methane emissions. It's a world leader in renewable energy, but also in emissions. In 2020, China built more solar and wind electricity generating capacity than any other nation. Meanwhile, China is still heavily reliant on coal power. More coal-fired stations are coming online every year. At the same time, China has a major program to close down older plants. Hence the paradox. Okay, check out these unusual facts about China and climate change. Number 1. Did you know that 1/3 of the world's new vegetation is being planted in China, which is obsessed with expanding forests and improving biodiversity? Number 2. Chinese drivers bought 1.1 million new electric cars in 2020. Number 3. China makes more than half of the world's vehicle batteries, and prices are forecast to fall to the point where electric cars will be cheaper in China than fossil-fueled powered vehicles. Number 4. China is home to 99% of the world's electric bus fleet, with 400,000 vehicles already on the roads. Shenzhen was the first city to replace all its buses and is now replacing all its taxis too. In conclusion, China is one country, yet it produces more than 25% of the global CO2 emissions and pollution in general. To be fair, the Chinese government is undertaking massive efforts to tackle pollution. I mean, after all, the air quality in urban China is ridiculously bad, so it has no choice. However, the competition between the USA and China over the position of the global #1 superpower is causing both countries to lag behind in tackling climate change and pollution issues. They talk the talk, but won't walk the walk. China is a lone wolf on the global stage, even if its allies fear its one-party closed secretive system. It's been bullying almost all its neighbors who are overlooking the South China Sea. It has serious border disputes with India, hence it created too many enemies at its doorstep. These nations will continue favoring the US by allowing it to maintain regional hegemony in Southeast Asia. China may become the official #1 global economy, but militarily speaking, it's far from having a free hand to operate on a global scale, nor is it welcomed to do so. China's human rights record is also an obstacle to its global economic and military superiority goals. In recent years, it opened city-sized modern enslavement camps to re-educate and rehabilitate millions of Uyghurs who are a Turkic ethnic group native to Xinjiang. It simply wants to strip them of their identity and religion, Islam. These city-sized camps have become mega-factories where Chinese and foreign investors can set up shops and save billions of dollars in labor costs. Tesla was the largest multinational corporation to establish operations in that region, and it's currently being heavily criticized for its ignorance of the human rights situation there. Would you like to learn more about what influences the world economies and global financial flows? Click on one of the videos that shows up on the left or go to our channel to find other interesting topics. See you next time.